She's the worst person I ever met. I want to travel the world with her. Greetings, guys. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Monette. This is my channel, Evolve with Monette. For those of you that are new here, I am a professional intuitive empath. It's so good to share energy with you. Today, we're going to break down the anatomy of a karmic relationship. Why you're attracted, why you get pulled in. My angels were clowning me. And so, this is, I don't know if it's going to be a short lesson, but the inspiration is of a short, so technically it's a short lesson. But this short came across my feed, and I was not in the algorithm of watching the show, though I had seen Aubrey Plaza recently because she has lost her spouse. Her spouse, unfortunately, unalived himself in the last year or so. And she recently did an interview with Amy Poehler, another famous comedian that most of you guys know. And so I believe probably because I watched that interview, she started showing up in my algorithm. And I always enjoyed her, like many people. She had a cult following, Aubrey, but in this one show specifically, she she's essentially mirroring a woman that she's just met that showed up in her workplace, and she's putting on an affectation and she's mirroring her, and she is fascinated by her, just instantaneously drawn to her. And that's what we're going to explore today, because I get a lot of questions about this. It's a question I've had myself, and it's something I have deeply explored and examined to understand the nature of the karmic relationship, the why, the who, the when, why it's allowed in the cosmic universe, why your angels and ancestors are overseeing it, even if it feels like it's sent straight from the pits of hell. There are reasons for this, no matter what the nature of it, whether it's a friend, a lover, a family member. There is something that you were supposed to learn from this person that you could only learn from this person. They have cosmic key codes for you, and you have cosmic key codes for them. So I'm going to walk you through my experience with a couple of my karmic relationships. And it was funny because this came up on my feed, and my angels were doing what they do with me, which is they love to give me a good old-fashioned, like a noogie, if you will. It was definitely, I always compare my angels to like Italian mafioso big brothers, you know. They definitely are ridiculously overprotective and sometimes heavy-handed, I think. I'm like, did it have to be that serious? But they also love me dearly and deeply with this incredible loyalty. And so today I felt like I was getting the noogie, the kid sister noogie, of them being like, oh, you silly goose. You fall for it every time. But we were watching you and we were protecting you. And they said, this is exactly what you were like. In that clip, which I will try to remember to link below, the little short, is the moment when she is just fixated on this karmic partner, right? She knows that she's a terrible person. That's one of the first key hallmarks, is you will know that you are not supposed to be dealing with this individual. To some degree, there is something that you will know about them, and you'll know, this one's not for me. And yet and still, the attraction or the pull, even if it's not a sexual attraction, even if it's just like a friendship attraction, one of my favorite things that's going around, we bested so hard we'd fill in the blank, right? So it could be a bestie. You know, there are people you will have like electric kismet chemistry with. And as a Leo, y'all, I pay a lot of attention to chemistry. That is my fifth house ruling, is love for Leo. It's not just love, but it's romance, creativity, vitality, dating, all the wonderful things, friendship, happiness, long distance pen pals, all of that stuff. We rule all of the things that make life worth living, I think, okay? But we have to remember not to overindulge ourselves. Stay tuned. I have some cool stuff coming up for every single sign about our dualistic natures. But what I will tell you is this, that I think is really important to not miss, is that it's electric. I'm hearing it's electric. Hey, boogie, woogie, woogie, woogie. You can feel it. It's electric. It's electric, okay? I have to make this light because that's the energy that my angels came at me today, whenever you guys are going to be catching this. they came at me with this and they were like, girl, teach the collective about what you've learned. Now, fortunately, I am not in any karmic connections that I am aware of. Lord, every time you pray, the angels will show you a new way that you are somehow connected to someone that's crazy. But right now, I feel like the coast is pretty clear. So I feel very safe sharing this with you because I'm not ministering from my misery. I'm teaching you from what I've learned and what I've gleaned, and there is a difference. So be careful too what sources you're getting, because we're all going through, and we're all, specifically our empath, Earth Angel Collective, we're like antenna and conduit. So if you're going through some shit, you might like spill some of that out. I know some of my previous recordings were me going through things and working it out. So God bless some of my collective that stuck with me through that. But I'm in a different space. Thank God for that. But just pay attention to that. Maybe that's a message for some of you guys out there who you're listening to, what vibration is, because I'm hearing, here comes a brand new flavor in your ear. Pay attention to what's coming in, because frequencies mean something. I know a lot of us here listen to frequencies and realign our vibration. I know I certainly do. So which hertz are you at, and all the rest of it. We can have a whole nother video. If you're interested, comment that below. Maybe that's something I can do for you. But even if it's just your music, even if it's just your talk therapy, even if it's just your YouTube channel, because I'm a YouTube girly through and through. I usually have YouTube playing most of the time. So even if it's just meditation music, or if it's a fun podcast, whatever the case may be, what is the frequency? But that is a tie-in directly to this karmic relationship dynamic. What is the frequency? So Aubrey Plaza says to this girl, she was in another show that I really loved, where she plays a really selfish... Oh, she was in Frankie and Grace. She's a daughter in Frankie and Grace. Yeah, she often plays kind of like a pretty self-absorbed person. She does it very well. Anyway, the other actress that she's playing off of. But Aubrey recognizes her. I'm saying Aubrey. I don't know. I'm not saying her name right in the thing, but... she recognizes her, and she immediately, essentially, is quote unquote in love. She's in limerence. She's infatuated, right? I don't think that there was no sexual energy, but it was very much like that moment when you feel that kismet connection. Now, here's the thing about it. What I love about that moment is it encapsulates everything you know initially. You will know instinctively why you should stay away. You might even find yourself telling friends and family why it's some BS. You might be telling yourself that as you're just scrolling in your journal or talking to your therapist, whatever you guys do. But it will be something that almost pulls you. It consumes you. I remember Sylvia Brown, who was a famous psychic. A lot of you guys might remember her. My older people, my 80s and 90s babies, remember her from being on the Montel Williams show very often. A blonde, older lady, and she would channel accurately or not accurately, depending, the people that have been passed away or unalived or anything, or just go on there to chat. But she wrote many, many, many books. And one of the things she talked about was her guide. And she talked about her guide that worked with her, and that her guide, she remembers when she met this major karmic lesson lover in her life. She was at a party, and she remembers the guy walking into the party, and then she went upstairs in the bathroom to like brush her hair because she wanted to primp for the guy. And she's talking. She knew who her guide was. Was her guide's name Maxine, I think? Someone correct me in the comments if you know. But she's talking to her guide, her angel, her ancestor, whoever she's working with. And she's like, and Maxine's telling her, don't do this. Do not listen, Linda, listen. I want to tell you something. Her guide is talking to her and telling her, don't do this. Don't touch it. Don't do it. This is going to be a hot mess. It's going to take you through so many years of shenanigans. And she's like listening to her guide and talking to her in the mirror in the privacy of that bathroom upstairs at the party, brushing her hair, very much like Marsha, and saying, I know that this is about to be fucked up, but I'm absolutely going to do it. I can't stop myself. I can't get enough. I can't help myself. That's what you will feel when you're in a karmic connection. It will be surreally aphrodisiac. It will be like a surreal aphrodisiac. It'll feel like, especially in the initial parts. Now, here's what I want to teach you, is how to get the most out of it and get out. That's actually, I think, the skill set here that I've acquired and learned over the years, is when to learn when you've got enough of it versus dragging yourself through the mud, being in situations where you are either stringing someone along or someone is stringing you along, and now you're accumulating all of these scars. Being in a karmic relationship past its expiration date is like being drugged behind a Mack truck with being drugged behind a Mack truck on a chain. And at first, you might be able to get off that chain and you'll recover. You're going to be banged up and bruised. You might need a magnesium soak if you go 20 feet. But if you go a couple miles down the road, you need body reconstruction. And if you do that in a spiritual relationship or a karmic relationship, you will need years of mental health recuperation. And some of you guys can attest to it. Some of you guys know right now, karmic relationships, that even if you've moved on and you're in other relationships, you're still healing from the past relationships. Teal Swan, and I've connected it to other videos below, does a fantastic talk where she espouses the wisdom of allowing us to heal properly after emotional calamity and catastrophe. If you got into a car accident and the next day someone said to you with your bandaged and broken body, why aren't you healed? The car accident happened yesterday. You would look at them like they were insane. Society would not accept that. But we have this weird idea that we should heal and be out of pain because of the very toxic dating landscape that we exist in today, where we practice a lot of the ghosting and lack of communication and whatever the case may be. And I'm not saying that there's not a time and a place for that, depending on the severity or intensity of the relationship. But what I am saying is that people have lost the art of connection and communication in so many ways, and it's all about power plays. And I know that the long-term relationships that I've got out of, I would definitely communicate what was going on. Even if at the end it went the way it went, they knew leading up, like, here's what the issues are and here's the problem. Maybe a little something for you to understand regarding your relationships, but also understand this. If you still feel like you haven't healed from something that happened years and years ago, you're normal, sis, okay? The person, unless they were I'm the one doing the bending, whoever was inflicting the most pain, people heal differently. People process things differently. So everyone may not be at the same space as you, but if there's a thing that you were drugged through and you still feel like, I'm still working through this and what's wrong with me? Nothing. Not a gosh darn thing. That's the whole point of the karmic lesson, is it's there to teach you elevation, but also for you to nitpick out the blessings. Blessings, Monette? What are you talking about? This person was horrific. Back to Sylvia in the bathroom. She's telling her guide, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. This guy's too delicious. I can't pass it up. I'm sorry. F you, Maxine. And so she proceeds to got into a multi-year on and off toxic karmic relationship. And she writes about it in her books if you guys want to go take a look. The point for you is this: you got it the same way. And I love the depiction in the short of Aubrey Plaza saying about this other character that she is interfacing with, she's the worst person I've ever met. I want to travel the world with her. Well, guys, there's nothing that I'm going to tell you about and teach you about that I have not experienced to some degree. That exact same thing happened to me. I've had various karmic partners in various veins, whether they be romantic or platonic or besties or whatever the case may be. I've learned lessons from each of them. I will tell you the commonality is get out as soon as you realize you've learned the lesson. And so that's what I want to make clear to you, raise awareness to you, that there is an exit ramp that we all come to in those relationships. And sometimes we purposely miss them because we're very caught up in the addiction of the codependency and other things that might not have healed from childhood. That's also why karmic lessons are there too. We might have some other existential kinks that we're working through. Fantastic book. That was very helpful for me. But the thing about it is there's always an exit ramp that will be up ahead that you can see. And so you get to decide, did I learn enough here? Did I suffer enough? Did I bleed enough? Is it time to set myself free? I remember having an interface with a karmic partner. And I remember, guys, I was having a little bit of mushroom tea. I was in my private, quiet space. I was not around this person at all. And it was like this, like a cadence, like a drum beat that I was supposed to connect with her. And I incidentally had got a box of cards, a box of an oracle deck. And the person on the deck, every deck is different, right? Every deck is art, every deck is different. But the person on the deck specifically was, and the deck, I won't put the deck up, but it was a deck that had to do specifically with like marijuana. It was like a marijuana deck, and it was all about like plants and herbs and earth, and it was like really like holistic and something you would find like in a head shop. And I don't know if she sent them to me. I don't know where this deck came from, but for whatever reason I had this deck, and it was around the time that whole thing was beginning. But in that moment on the mushroom tea, because when you're doing any kind of medicinal plant medicine, you will have different ideas and visions, and it was just so clear to me that I was supposed to interface with this person. I knew I was. It was as clear as Aubrey says, and specifically in my case, quite literal to what you will see in that short, where I was like, I don't know that I necessarily thought she is the worst person I've ever met. I think I'll travel the world with her. The noogie that my angels were giving me is the retrospective noogie, because essentially that's what did happen. This was probably my worst karmic partner, soulmate experience that I ever had, and I in fact proceeded to travel the world with her. So this is a retrospective of my angels giving me a hard time and ribbing, because they're like, girl, you were Aubrey, okay? You clocked it right from the beginning. You felt that instantaneous pull and attraction, and you did exactly what we told you not to. No, don't. What they reminded me of is Willy Wonka, which is my favorite movie, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. But when he's telling the kids, no, stop, don't, but he's doing it very lackluster because he knows they're completely going to disregard him. That's exactly how your angels have been with you guys. Yes, you listening, and that's exactly how they were with me. So I can say it now because I've healed from it and all the stuff, and it's funny to me now, but I can reflect back on how I got caught up in one of the most toxic situations I was ever in, because I completely overrode. But also, to make sense of it, I had a karmic assignment. I was very clear what I heard when I was on that mushroom tea. It was like almost like a pulsing beat, like a cadence, like a drum beat. Like, we had this assignment for her to treat me probably the worst that anyone has ever treated me, because it wasn't just outright abuse. It was insidious. It was underhanded. It caused a lot of confusion. And for me, who specifically makes my living because of my mental clarity, my third eye being opened, my ability to see, hear, and discern, she was detrimental not only to my work, but my worth, and even the way that I earn. So that was a wake-up call. If you're in a karmic relationship, you will start to lose. You will lose finances. You will lose your damn sanity. You will lose your looks. You will lose your swag. Whatever you have, there will be a destiny swap that's in effect. And you might be with someone who was full of disrespect, who has karma that's at their neck, but you step in, and then we become the earth angel umbrella that absorbs their sin. Now their life is elevating. They're looking good. They're plump and juicy. Their bank accounts getting more flush. They're coming up with beautiful ideas, and you're turning to mush. Any one of you that's been in a narcissistic relationship has known that. If you've been in a toxic relationship, I don't even know what the diagnosis is. All I want to do is call sis a karmic. That's what I know it is. So that's what she was for sure. And I knew it because I said as much to her upon my many times of trying to disembark. But I'm not going to lie to you about the things you will feel in that, which is a pull. The pull, the push, the pull, the things, all the things that make any relationship sometimes interesting. And if you have a little toxicity left in you, some of those karmic relationships will get it up out of you. That was such a powerful, pivotal shift for me to experience the slag off and the disrespect that she dished out for me. It's not that I'm like, oh, I needed to bathe me in it and wash me in my sins. But it's like, had that not happened, this new life that I'm in wouldn't have begun. I would not have been able to step into something completely different with a full understanding of what I will and won't tolerate. And it wasn't that I didn't think that I had established previous boundaries, and she tested it. God will test you repeatedly, guys. So those karmic relationships that you're like, well, why did this happen to me and how did I pick it? Subconsciously, to a certain degree, You were learning a lot of things about yourself. I'm not saying you deserve to be punished or deserve to be abused. You know, again, this was not a physical abuse that I went through or anything like that. So I do not want to minimize what you have gone through if it was a horrible situation. I'm just talking about like toxic people. I maybe not make it as bad as some of the things that some of you guys have been through, because this was not that per se. It was insidious and dangerous for me in a different way, but it was, and it was abusive. It was. But it was the thing that I was drawn to because it was a lesson that I had to work through. One of the ways that your angels, I learned this from Sonia Choquette, who is a famous psychic as well. One of the ways that your angels will get your attention is by attraction. That sacral energy that we traffic in is really this beacon, this antenna. It really pulls in things for us. And even if the person isn't reciprocally attracted, what you're attracted to is a really interesting way that the angels will try to teach you. So if you're attracted to someone, whether it's romantic or it's just a bestie moment, or it's just like, oh my God, this friend's so cool and I just love spending time with her or him, or if it's like a lovership, I'm hearing let the games begin. That attraction is the pull. Now, sacral energy can do a lot. Now, if you want to control it and manage it, you can turn it into business endeavors. You can turn it into work. You can turn it into health. There's a lot of things you can channel your sacral energy into. But sacral energy will usually be, it's like the angels, they're like, don't put this on us. But essentially, in a karmic relationship, that attraction is used to hook you, to get you in, to learn the lesson. Because also, with most of your most important karmic lessons, whatever you thought it was going to be in the beginning is nothing like how it turns out to be. Meaning, even if every promise was promised and every deal was made, there will be, by the end of it, you'll be like, why did I even stay? Nothing went the way that it was supposed to go, quote unquote, supposed to. And my angel said, but everything went just right. It did. And I got out with my life. Thank God. But I lost a tiny bit of my sanity for a few moments. And that feeling in that short encapsulates exactly what you will feel. Even if I didn't say it to myself when I was on that mushroom trip, I remember specifically reaching out to her, full of charisma, full of, you know, myself. Come on, Leo. And absolutely sure that I could pull. I was like, okay, this is a done deal. You know, it's like I wanted what I wanted. I knew what it was, and I knew what was supposed to happen between me and sis, because I was in tune with those, with the mushroom energy. Okay. I just knew, and I wasn't wrong. Literally, she picked up. We weren't really like chatting at the time, but she literally picked up and she was like, oh my God, da 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 da. And we were just like a house on fire. And in that moment, I connected with probably the worst sociopathic liar I've probably ever dealt with. But I did not read that instantaneous chemistry and connection wrong at all. I didn't even read the potential of what could have happened. Portals jumped, all kinds of cool things that could have happened. That's the thing that I don't want you guys to get lost in these karmic relationships. Because we are earth angels, we have this kind of sight for people. People will come in and posture that they're spiritual too. What I have learned is that people are never really as spiritual as you. And it doesn't mean you're the most spiritual in the world. It just means that people will mirror you. Ironically, that short is a fantastic thing that happens because they want to have access and proximity to you. Okay? They want to be around you. Aubrey, the irony of that clip is Aubrey wasn't as shallow or as horrible specifically as the woman that she was mirroring, that she was like, she's the most horrible person I've ever met. I want to travel the world with her. She was mirroring her to gain access to her. Now, I won't say that that's necessarily what I did. I was definitely myself, but people will mirror you to gain access to you. A lot of messages in that little clip. Okay. So they may pretend that they are, she was even mirroring her affectation, her voice. Destiny swap anybody? Single white or black female or Latina female? Anybody? You guys have been through it. You know exactly what I'm saying when people sidle up to you and all of a sudden they're just the same as you. We're twinsies. Come on, bestie. And they do the same things you do, but really they are like secretly fucking hating on you. So that's something you have to walk through, and don't let it be someone you're sleeping with, because that's when it really can undermine you, because that hook is a different kind of hook, isn't it, sis? A lot of you guys have dated the toxic F-boy or F-girl that just came in to mess up your world, and they were not doing anything but maybe D'ing you down nicely, lovely. I'm here, I got the cleanest, meanest, penis you never seen, this stroke of genius, a little Biggie Smalls. Someone was like was was immaculate. It was fantastic. I've learned that that's a skill set that they are betrothed because that's all they got. That's all they know. They're homosexuals. If they can't they pin you down to the bed, they cannot get in your head. Come on. That needs to be on a bumper sticker. People are trying to pin you down to the bed to get in your head if it's a sexual relationship. And if it's a confusing one, then it's going to flip you out, but it's there to excavate the things that have been holding you back and help you get rid of the things almost like parasitically. It's like a parasitic cleanse to go through one of these karmic cycles. But the attraction you will have will be like no other, even if it is platonic. I remember my twin flame, toxic twin, don't talk, disgusted, moved on, did the things. But I remember even our connection in the beginning, the kismet, immediate, intense attraction, where we both couldn't like stay away from each other, where we both were like, you know, I remember when I saw her, I remember like I knew I was gonna, I like flash forward, I knew I was gonna spend a lifetime with her, and I did spend a good part of my lifetime with her. I remember exactly how she looked. I remember the promise I made to her kid, all of the things, and I was shook because I was thinking, am I crazy? You're not crazy when you're having these things happen to you. Because when she was in my vicinity, she's like, why aren't you inviting me to Bible study? Why aren't you doing this? And she wanted to be right up underneath me too. And then the rest was history. And we went on to have unfortunate history, but it went on for many, many years. But we both had, even when I thought, sometimes you'll gaslight yourself, like this is just in my head. I thought it was just in my head, but she validated to me for years and years into the good times and the bad. And she was like, no, man, like I couldn't like keep away from you either. And I understood that to be true. People, you might have these destinies with people because that's really how you grow through some of the spiritual lessons that you are destined to grow through. Also, I will tell you, when that same twin, when it was time for us to take the exit ramp, I remember her telling me about someone that she met at the office, actually, which is very much like this short with Aubrey. Someone she met at the office, and she was telling me about how horrible she was and how she was making a big ruckus and how everybody was scared of her and how she didn't follow any of the rules and how she was doing what she wanted to do and breastfeeding all over the place and just being wild and inappropriate and how she was a bully and how she was mean and this and that. And I could tell the titillation and the excitement that she had, and I knew that this was our stop. And I didn't go into the messiness of saying that specifically and being sappy and like, no, don't leave me, because I knew like I had other things to do and other destinies to meet, and she needed to experience that destiny. But that was her experience too. I just met the worst person in the world, and I want to travel the holler with her. They didn't necessarily travel the world but they definitely traveled the holler, maybe a couple of Airbnbs. But the point is, that person would be the one that would bring her to her knees, and probably was her most horrific karmic relationship. Well, she was one of mine. That one for her specifically, I know, hands down, was one for the books. That was the one that cooked her completely and had her completely shook. And I imagine that just like Sylvia did when she was in the mirror talking to her guide Maxine, her angels and ancestors said, let this one be. Don't you touch that precious Lindsay. But she couldn't help herself. It's a powerful kismet karmic moment when you get into that alignment. It's electric. And so that's the thing that I think a lot of people don't talk about. We're on the other side of it in our healing, and we're like, oh, they're horrible, F them, they're never coming back to my space, I took my power back, yeah, all of that. But let's talk about what got you there. Why did you get into it? What was the pull? What was the allure? What was the thing that made you want to give them the business or get the business from them to whatever degree? What was it about them that had you default your sovereignty? Ooh, message. Let her cook. We're cooking today. That's what the angels wanted me to say to you today. They want you to examine the why of the entry. What was the thing that the person was feeding for you? What was the validation that you were getting? And it will be reciprocal too. We're not going to have you do their work here in this classroom. I want you to do your own work, okay? They already copied off your test enough. You don't have to figure out why they were attracted to you. I think you already know. You're fabulous. But why were you attracted to them, my earth angels, my empresses? Why were you attracted to them, my kings, my princes? Let me understand. What was your attraction reciprocally to them? And do you remember that electric moment when you met the worst person you ever met and you thought, I can't get enough, or I'm going to try to not get enough to whatever degree, you will remember those moments. And you will also remember to now in the future take heed, because you will always get a good tongue lashing from your spiritual team. They will tell you in warnings. My twin told me in her own words, she was using me to emotionally masturbate about her karmic partner, but she was like, I could hear it. I know when she's in love, because she was once in love with me, but I remember hearing her words and I was like, oh, you got it bad for Lindsay. She didn't have to tell me that. I knew, because when you know, you know. But it was true. She couldn't help herself. It was like she was connected behind the Mack truck. She couldn't have stopped herself if she wanted to. She had to have that experience. She had to explore it. And I had to work through what I had to work through and take the exit as I was guided to. I showed myself the door. Don't stay for the abuse, because it gets worse and worse. That's another thing to know, is when a relationship is over, people will turn into their worst selves. They become animalistic. And so get out before they put you through a hell that you really have to take time to heal through. And so, but do not undermine the beginning. A lot of the healing that needs to happen for some of you listening today is about understanding exactly why you felt that way. You know that way, that very specific way about whoever it was. There are a lot of people that are sitting in prisons today that had that feeling about whatever was the hookup, even if it wasn't a sexual one. It could have been they're in the wrong getaway car, but they remember when they met that friend and they knew that friend wasn't right for them. They knew that friend didn't mean them well. They knew that friend was dangerous and was going to drag them down to hell, but it was just too fun not to go on the joyrides and not to learn how to start a car with a few wires and not to feel the adrenaline and the excitement of getting fast money. They knew that that wasn't their real homie. They knew that that wasn't their real friend. They knew when they got jumped into that gang, that wasn't their real family. But there was something exhilarating about the pull and about the promises of what could be. Don't get caught up on people's potential, because that is not their reality. There is a reason that you get sucked into those relationships initially. And it's not because you're stupid. And it's not because your angels and your spirit team don't love you. It's because you have some spiritual work to examine and to do. And again, my best advice to you is to figure out why you're there faster. Tell yourself the truth faster. And then take the exit ramp before there is imminent disaster. Because when it's a karmic relationship, there will always be imminent disaster. I promise you. And it's free. Free 99. You're going to get your ass handed to you to some kind of way if you decide to overstay the lesson, and you're welcome. Well, Monette, what if they came after me and it was hard and I couldn't resist the energy? Okay, but why were you there? Oh, Monette, what if I went after them? Even though I felt like they were going to cause me despair. Been there, done that. Been there and done that too. You know, like, have you ever looked at someone and you just knew y'all were going to do what you do? I'm talking about now. Let's get into the adult side. You ever looked at somebody and just known, like, yeah, that. Yeah. So you can't ignore those moments. Are you unless you were, celibate, chaste, a monk, a nun, whatever. Most of the adults listening today have had that experience of, like, I saw them and I knew. I saw him, I saw her, and I knew. Even if it wasn't supposed to be some long drawn out thing you did, and then you actually do the do. Specifically with my twin, I remember that moment. I felt those feelings and knew that before we were ever, like, I feel like we might have manifested each other. But I remember, I won't even go into the old story, but I remember. I'm going to still maintain my internet auntie status over here. But, aunties were one of the younger people too. But I remember, and I was like, well, god dang. I guess it's about to be me and you, babe. Or back then it was a tattoo. All the things you said, running through my head, all that. It was this whole experience, but it was electric. And there was chemistry. And I think to ignore that is when we mess up over here, Earth Angels and Empresses, is to ignore our sensuality, our virility, men, women, whatever. To ignore that need to have companionship to some degree is innocent. It does require that it will be met. And so it's not that you're stupid because you let the narcissist get in your head, or the toxic person, or the low vibrational person, but it's because guys, we all to some degree like a little bit of excitement, and the angels know that that's how we will learn our lesson. And not that they just want to teach us and beat us, but it's that they know that if we get into that chemistry pull, then we're going to be paying attention. I learned so many valuable things from my karmic partners, the ones that were real karmic partners, not ones that were trying to force themselves on me or whatever, but like when it was mutual chemistry. Because I've had people be trying to tell me like what they were to me, and I was like, girl, sir, ma'am, I'm not feeling it. But you know when you feel it. I've had a handful of people that I've really felt it for. Doesn't mean you don't know how to flirt or be or do, but it means what is the thing that arrests you? And that is pun intended, because that very thing will captivate and keep you and imprison you. So why did that happen to you? That's the examination that I want you guys to do today. What got you into the nose open kind of way? That's an old phrase, right? What made your nose be open for a person? Why did you like them initially? What was the pull about their energy, sensuality, or their sexuality? If it was platonic, are you just a sapiosexual type of person? So just communication could do it. Is there another way that someone could ensnare and hook you? And if they do, are you willing to take the exit ramp when it's presented to you? Oh, the angels have a lot of questions for you about this, because it's not that you're not supposed to have companionship, and it's not just that you're supposed to hermit forever, though it's tempting, trust me. And it's not to say that after you go through a karmic spell that you will not like your reclusive energy and exclusivity. In fact, I think that's really healthy, and I think there's a season for that. And it won't be that after you go through a few karmic bouts that you won't want to just retract your full energy and be like not interested. That's a place I've definitely found myself, especially as of late, where I'm just like, oh Lord, humanity, what a terrible fate. And it's not that, and I'm a lover girl completely, but I just realized, like, for me, I may be on a different journey, but for you that are going to go back outside and really integrate with people and have love in your life, and I'm never not having love in my life, y'all, but sometimes I just get sick of people. I just get so sick of people. But it does make you weary. But also I think the part of the karmic lesson is to make you more circumspect, to vet differently, to tell the truth faster. The way that I get away from people as soon as I see crazy, I don't care if they're a friend, a helper, a lover, a homie, whatever. If I can see that they don't mean well for me, and you know why that happened? Because of the karmic energy that I endured and went through, that I allowed to drag my ass for miles. I had to be in whole ass rehabs recovering because I let people play in my face. I am grateful for the ways that it didn't go my way because I learned something and I have something here to say. But oh my God, many of you can relate to what you will see on that short lesson from Aubrey, meeting the person that you know is the worst person you've ever run into, and somehow you will drag them all around the fucking world with you. I know I have. I know I did. I know I tried to make fetch happen, and my angels were like, stop trying to make fetch happen. We hate this. This was just a lesson to teach you about and we now have you understanding completely that when it's time to punch that exit button, that parachute, they're showing me right now in my mind's eye, pilots ejecting from jets that are about to crash. Get your ass out the seat fast once you realize this was never meant to last. For me, specifically with some of these karmic partners, my attraction was over with them within months. One I drug out for years because hashtag glutton for punishment. One I was very weary about, where it was like within a couple of months, I was not attracted in the same way at all. I knew exactly what kind of demon she was and what a liar she was. But I was already in the thing. I was already in. My emotions were already involved, you know? And what a disappointment. She was just disappointing in every way, okay? And disappointing in the way that I had to make lemonade out of the lemons. Some of these karmic partners are not there to assist you. They are not evolved. Some of them are truly on demonic assignment to co-opt you, to corrupt you, to get you off your path. You need to pay attention to that. That's why I want you to know what the pull and the hook is. That's why instead of just focusing on, I'm listening to this and I'm reading that and I'm studying through here, I want you to get back into the dirty part of it. What made you want to be there? Yeah, that's shadow work. That's what shadow work is. Why was that shit irresistible to you? What about it beguiled you? What about it got you? What about it stroked your ego? That fucking ego of ours, right? What about it was fucking dirty and hidden and the underbelly? What about it was the 8th house scorpionic energy for you? What about it was beyond taboo? What about it was this infected tattoo? And until you can answer that, you will end up repeating cycles of that again and again. And I don't wish it on you, and I don't predict it for you, but I want to free you from it, my friends. So tell yourself the truth about why it even began and why you overrode your spirit guides, the ancestors and angels talking to you, and told them, you know what? I got some fucking to do, or I got some friending to do, or I got some car thieving to do, or I got some PPP fraud loan to do. Y'all know your business. I don't want to be all up in your business with you, but there was someone that you might have hooked up with that didn't mean you any good. They were just there to show you what was under your hood emotionally, where you could be triggered, and what wires you needed to cut to set yourself free. They weren't there to be your endless love. I would never in a million years reconnect with any of these karmic partners, because I understood exactly how they did infect, exactly why I was attracted, exactly when I stopped being attracted, and exactly how much longer than it should have that it lasted. Because of those experiences, I don't allow people to be in my energy for too long currently. It doesn't mean people don't try. It doesn't mean people aren't attracted to me. It doesn't mean that I'm not attracted to people. I had a situation recently where I was so tempted to touch. Hey, a little down, yo, do you so much? I had a situation, and this was outside of my norm, okay? And I checked myself. Check yourself before you wreck yourself, because karmic bullets are bad for your health. I had someone who was like pursuing me, and not my usual type, actually, but scratching an itch in a certain kind of way. You need to know what is the sexy of why you wanted to play with that karmic relationship, guys. And I recognized it right away. And for me, it was a guy specifically. And so this guy was approaching me, and he was attractive. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm not even gonna hold to you. And was taking a super sweet interest in making himself available. And so I reached out to one of my homegirls who was like the enforcer. She's a good friend. Shout out to you. I know she's listening. And I was like, listen, Linda. I'm gonna tell you something. I can't tell if homie's flirting, but I think he's flirting, and this is potentially dangerous. I want no parts of this. And the way that I prayed that shit away, guys, because I knew I could see the karmic unfolding that I was like, I'm not even in the market for this, to be really honest with you. And that's when the devil, what do they say? The devil couldn't reach me, so they sent whatever. Well, they sent someone who was very, very, very handsome. I was super flattered, but I was like, what? and I set up so many boundaries, fail safes. I was ducking and dodging. I manifested and prayed that shit away, because I was like, this is not this is not the demon of which I'm going to play. I want no parts. I wanted no parts of the messy shit that the devil was trying to pull me into. But because I have studied my previous karmic patterns, I knew exactly what the devil was trying to do. I was watching it. I was like, oh, this is new. This is a new trick. This one doesn't have breasts. This is interesting. This is a new angle. I see what you're doing. I see you. I see you saying. I see you. You try to do your big one. You're not going to get me. The way that I manifested and dissipated that thing out of my energy. And so maybe that's a little advice for you too. Do you have a homeboy or a homegirl that you could really talk to? It reminds me of those things from back in the 90s where it'd be like, it's 10 o'clock, because our parents didn't care about us. No, that's not true. We were latchkey kids, and they would say, there would be a thing that came on the news every night. It's like, it's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your kids are? Well, it's karmic o'clock. Do you know where that ride or die friend is that's going to tell you the fucking truth and tell you what? If you don't know who your guides are, you're not talking to your angels. You have a human on this earth that is not going to play the radio with you and just be like, now sis, I know you like this, and I know this looks delicious, but what the fuck are you doing? And are you going to ingest what they're saying? Again, I don't recommend giving over your autonomy to anyone, but I do recommend allowing people that you trust that are wise, that aren't haters, to weigh in. But anyway, I was able to dissipate with a spiritual friend some of the toxic energy that was coming in, and I didn't even indulge it. I didn't even let it begin. I didn't even let it begin. I said, oh no, devil, you're not getting in. I've been battling all year with crazy bitches, and I don't want a crazy dude. Okay, we're not adding a stitch to the bitch. No, nobody. And so it was such a powerful lesson. But I laughed, and I got my little noogie from my angels, because they said, good on you. We saw you, and we said a good one to you. It was a good one. I said, oh my God. Oh my God, today. I want to thank you, Lord. But I'm not here to play. And that's because of the karmic relationships that I have gone through in so many different ways, that now it doesn't matter what gender, what sex, what body, what configuration is coming in. I'm ducking and dodging like Neo in the Matrix, friend. I'm not playing the game, because I know the karmic pain. Karmic pain is a different kind of pain, especially because you knew right from the beginning you had no business being there. So if you allow yourself to be caught up in the caught up in the rapture of love, if you decide to allow yourself to get caught up in the rapture of fuckery, that thing will cost you an arm and a leg and your whole soul completely. Don't say your good sis did not tell you. That karmic relationship is not the thing that you want to linger in if you happen to get into it. Understand with your discernment that it's there to teach you. Tell the truth about why it was delicious to you and how it could even actually reach you. And then look for that exit ramp, because it's coming up to free you. That's the message. I'm clapping for myself on that one, because that lesson was 40-something years in the making, my friends. That did not come easy to me. I've had my heart torn down, broken, hurt, and abused. I have been mishandled and misused. But the thing about it that made it the worst, that stung so bad, is right from the beginning, I fucking knew. I knew. And there is nothing like getting over something when you're like, now I saw the red flag, and that, and then they said, and then when they did this, and bop, 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 bop. That doesn't mean you will not be pulled in, because there are lessons to learn. And that is the conundrum, is that sometimes you will burn to learn that lesson. You can be like Sylvia Brown and override and go through many years, but that's what I learned. That was a very painful thing, something that could have been very delicious. With my twin flame, I hadn't learned enough lessons. I didn't know enough. And so she was hot like lava, hot to the touch. I'm just healing the wound caused by her zodiac sign specifically, where I could even have a friendship with someone of the same sign. It took me almost 20 years, that is, okay? Black gold, Texas tea. Now, this is a story all about how my life was flipped upside down. I merged the Beverly Hillbillies with the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and I think that's quite apropos. We were an interracial connection. That is very, she was the redneck. It was very apropos, actually. That was a good mashup, Angels. That's so funny. But I didn't know better when I got into that twin flame connection. I got out of it. I took it excellent, but man, I took it after I got drugged. I took it long after time was up. I took it after I'd stayed my welcome. I took it after my angels had shown me this is not the way. I had a 2-year heads up about the game she was about to play, and I still allowed myself to stay because I was connected, committed, addicted. Come on, can we talk? Can we talk? For a minute, I was addicted to the codependency way. Does that make sense? I was enmeshed. I was in limerence. I was projecting about her potentiality while she was siphoning energy from me and trying to swap destinies. Come on, man. So I'm talking to somebody out there. I was completely an ignoramus and did not really care for myself. And that doesn't mean you have to take that on for you completely. But I want you to identify that there is evolution that's at play here, and you will reclaim your dignity. I am not the same person I am. It doesn't mean someone has to try to dupe me and fool me. That doesn't mean that when I was on that mushroom tea that I wasn't like, I see it, I want it, I got it. Yeah, very much that. And that ego and that hubris, lessons for my Leo ass. Careful what you see and you want and you think you can have. And it's not even about the reciprocation the whole thing or the interaction of it. I had to tell the truth about where I was emotionally to even allow that, other karmic. Does that make sense, guys? I had to tell the truth about my bullshit. Say back up on my bullshit. I had to tell the truth about how I fumbled it. Does that make sense? And when I say fumbled it, the exit ramp. It wasn't the relationship. I was never supposed to be in it. I remember breaking up with that person within a couple of months. And I'll tell you something, and this is maybe a little lesson for some of you guys about vulnerability and how people that are toxic will glom on in that moment. I was going through a lot of surgeries and a lot of things at the time. And I remember my bestie had flown down to help take care of me, and my spouse was there. My husband was there too, but I had begun this emotional connection with this karmic person, and so the comfort of her was really important to me in a way that I didn't really calculate or calibrate. And so I wasn't being honest with myself. I had broken it off with her. I was like, hey, this isn't working. We had kind of stopped talking. But when I had my surgery, I will never forget when my angels were my Maxine in the mirror looking at me like, we leave this alone right now because she's about to drag your ass. She's about to fucking drag you. They even sent in a friend to me, one of my West Indian friends. He's so funny. And he's the friend that I'm telling you about. He was one of the friends. I had a couple of people speak life into me. But I remember us getting ready to go on something. We were getting ready to go on a cruise or something. And I needed Tylenol. And she was like, oh, I'm just going to run into the store and get the Tylenol for you. And he had called while she was in the store. He's like, yo, Mo, how's it going? Da, 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 da. And I was like, it's going really good. She's so sweet. Da, 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 da. So he was like, listen, this is the game plan. Da, 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 da. He's broskiing me. We're having a broski convo. And he was like, but listen, these girls, whatever, you got to be careful, young women. I mean, she was a few years younger than me, more than a couple. She was maybe 4 years younger than me. But he was like, you don't really do this, and young women and whatever. So he's giving me the broski pep talk, the wingman pep talk essentially. And he was like, after the cruise, I think you should just cut it off. And he just said a lot of words to me that when I think back to it, the angels will send people to you to intercept you. So if you're like, well, no one told me, it could be a commercial that talks to you. It could be a billboard that talks to you. It could be a license plate. It could be a song that you listen to. It could be an old college paper that you find that you're rereading when you're cleaning out your closet and you're writing about the theory of relativity in relationships. I don't know. The angels have a way of making sure you'll get the message. And so that was another one because I believe warning comes in threes. And he was like the third warning before I was brought to my knees. And he was like, leave her alone. Absolutely leave her alone. If that doesn't happen, then you just need to be not even with this and whatever the case may be. And there was even, while I was on the ship, I had a soulmate that had crossed over that came to me, an apparition, but also this ship that he had once driven. I had dated this captain. Guys, interesting stories of different things that won't matter to you. But I had one of my very favorite soulmates come through. And I remember us being on the balcony and me talking about that soulmate. So I had so many messages, so many warnings, so many moments where people were coming through and saying, this one's not for you. Does that make sense? Get away from this. But I was not listening. I did, as my mother would say, my West Indian mother would say, you will insist, meaning you would literally will insist to do the thing that I'm telling you not to do. And so I definitely had my spirit team from passed over loved ones, from ancestors and from friends on this earth plane coming through to say, hey, this was not for you. But in that moment of vulnerability, I will never forget. And you could say, Monette, well, how greedy can you be? And that's why I say, check your ego, check your own humanity, your own weaknesses. Yeah, I had Bessie there, and that was nice, and I was grateful, and I really was, and my spouse there, and I was grateful. But when someone gets into a certain part of your energy and it feels like a certain kind of love or connection or synergy or chemistry, I'm big on that. And you can't manifest that. You can't manufacture it. It is or it isn't. Y'all know what I mean? And in that moment when I was feeling sick, there was a certain way that she was comforting. I'm not going to hold you. I'm not going to lie. But I had to tell myself that and look it in the eye, because that was the final countdown for the bye. And I didn't take it. And then I was the angel said, now sign this spiritual waiver cosmically, because you're about to get drugged, sis, for everything until you set yourself free. Because that was the third and final. Does that make sense? And it was my bad, because I had already said, we're good. But when she reached out to me, I was in the right vulnerable space, and I was like, oh. And she comforted me in a way that I just didn't feel like I was getting. Yeah, I had to deal with all of my drama. Yeah. So here I come to you guys often and I talk to you and I'm like, well, this and that and whatever. And I can teach, but man, it's because I've learned it from being on my knees or being brought to my knees, from walking many days in my own shoes until my feet bled, till I did bleed. Girls and guys listening, this is not just some rambling screed. I promise you, I've learned this authentically and I've come by it honestly. So I had to get real with why I allowed that access to me when I had already known, like, she on some fucking bullshit. And the kind of bullshit she's on was diabolically sinister and undermining and dysregulating for me. She may deal with a bunch of other people that think that she's the best partner that's ever partnered. But you have to know what your spirituality is. That doesn't mean that I don't wish for her all the best and for her to go live her best life and be in every relationship she wants to be in. But I know how detrimental it was for me as a spiritual person. People can say they're spiritual, but I actually am, okay? And so I knew exactly how much I was, because I had to tap into a lot of spiritual defense mechanisms, because I was dealing with real spiritual warfare because of the entity attachments and all the shit that she was bringing in. And I was like, what the fuck? So many lessons in that connection, and thank God my angels in their own way super protected me from my baseline carnality. God is good. When I tell you God is good, so even if you got into a karmic connection, you're like, it didn't go the way it should, and it went so bad, it could have gone worse. And that was one where I could tell how much damage she was doing, and I would never want to be around her. I never want to see her. I never want to talk to her. Like, I learned the lesson. You never have to tell me twice. We don't need to have a kumbaya. I don't need you to apologize. Nothing. I was like, have you ever disliked someone so much? That's how you also know. That's another aside that you might be under a little bit of spell work, or someone that had been heavily manifesting you, is that when you wake up, the way that you won't like them will almost alarm you. It alarmed me. I had a deep, deep disdain for her, especially because of the mental games and the sociopathic lying and duplicity. And it was so weird, because I was like, how did I feel so much chemistry in the beginning? And this is a person that I'm like, if I saw her like across the street, I would be, I don't know that I would scream, but I would literally like fucking try to retreat like Homer Simpson into the bushes. Like, I wouldn't even want her to see me. I would never want to see her. I never want to look at her. Like, it creeps me out that I was even in that. That's how you know that you went through a karmic bout, round for round. You went through your fight with a Mike Tyson in your life, a karmic juggernaut that almost took your mind and your sanity. So if that happened, then tell the truth about what was enticing to thee in that moment of vulnerability when I had other support. Why did her support feel better to me? Why did it scratch an itch for me? Why was I attracted to any degree? And that examination of why I allowed her to drag me, because I allowed it, and that's another thing you might have to cop to, even if it offends you when you're hearing it. There are some things that we allow to go much longer than they should. That was an allowance. Girl, the way that she was no good everywhere, every little city we go, she was the same hoe. Real talk, no exaggeration, no denigration. I'm telling you, facts on facts on facts. That's one thing I don't do here, is lie. When I tell you the bye was so warranted and over the top needed, and maybe it's the same for you guys. She was the same inflammatory, incendiary, calculating, sneaky asshole that she's been with everybody she's always dealt with. Except it was so different with me because I was expecting better assists. And that was my bad. Message. Sometimes people are the diabolical, evil people that they are. She was undermining. She created problems. She was an anarchist. Reminded me of Ricky Bobby, when the redhead kid's like, it's anarchy and I love it. That's who I was dating. It was that. She was exactly that. With all of my great communication, all of my up and up. It was a karmic relationship that my angel said, we told you not to touch. We told you to stop. We told you don't be involved. We told you this one's super, super crazy or super crazy for you. One of the things that you need to know about your karmic relationships is too, that these people can maybe be in relationships with other people for many years without incident, but with the right or wrong chemistry, it's like baking soda and vinegar. Remember those volcanoes? Those volcanoes. We went to Iceland. Those volcanoes that erupted when we were doing our science projects as a kid, and you would add the chemicals, and it was our first little like experiments regarding how chemicals interact, and there's the explosion when you put in the peroxide and the baking soda and the vinegar and the whole thing. That's how it is when you're in a karmic lesson. They may present as normal to many other people. They may, well, she had her history too, but they may present as normal to many other people, or they might have the ability, let's say like someone has dated other people before you, and they said, oh, the relationships ended normally, but then they get with you and it's just inflammatory. I remember once counseling a guy, and he was dating this girl, and I knew her. I actually knew her, but he was like coming to me for readings, and they had this most inflammatory relationship. Like she was dragging him literally behind cars. Like one day that happened. She literally dragged him behind her car. He got hooked onto her car. I don't know what happened, but they would fight so much. And he went on to be in another relationship that I think he's still in now. It's been years and years and years. No incidents, no fights, no drama, no nothing. There are some people you can get into a relationship with and you just combust. It's just toxic chemistry. And there's a lesson there about something you need to learn about your dark underbelly. It's a very scorpionic lesson. Why are you attracted? Why did that feel good? Why did you lock in? What was the original sin? And what I mean by the original sin, what was the chemistry that made you want to fucking lock in? What was the thing that made you think we're fucking before it's over with, or before the night's done? There is one person that I've ever really felt that with, and of course we had our adult fun, but it was something where it was like, I thought this just happened in movies, that people really locked in like that, and I was like, you know, that's a real thing. So understand who you are. Yeah, you're spiritual guys, and yeah, we love, you know, Lord, and we love our cards, and we read, and we clear, and we pay attention to the crystals of the moon, but we're carnal in here too, okay? And that's the thing that can really be the thing that undermines you. You need to know why you are pulled, especially if it's a sensual or sexual connection. What about that person is perfection, or that scratches the itch for you? Maybe they're not perfection, but that scratches the itch for you. I don't know that any of these people were perfection for me, but there was something about them that was dirty in the right way for me, that I was like, yeah, I want to see, I want to find out, let me find out, whatever that is. And unfortunately I found out. Careful what you ask for, sis. You will find out, but you need to tell yourself the truth about why you even allowed it to exist. Okay, stop beating yourself up. Take the exit ramp. Talk to a good sobering friend, guy or girl, that can tell you, bring it to an end. Even if you don't listen. I didn't listen. I'm not telling you guys you will listen all the time, but I will tell you will pay the price when you don't get in the exit ramp line. I promise you that. Okay, because if you don't exit or get off when other people talk to you, or your angels talk to you, those people will begin to attack your nervous system. They will begin to dysregulate you. That's how come you see that trend right now on social media, where people are like, this is what I look like before the relationship, and this is what I look like after it. That part, sis. My empaths here, you guys are highly prone. I know I am. Raise your hand if you have an autoimmune disease. I'm raising my hand because of staying in long relationships, prolonged relationships past their expiration date, with people that were bringing you to their needs, that were people that were playing in your face, that were dysregulating your nervous system. She was probably the biggest perpetrator, that one karmic connection, of dysregulating my nervous system. It's funny because like with my twin, I was kind of used to her, so I kind of knew her games and whatever. This was a new species and a new way of playing and a new game that I had to learn, but it was good for me. It was actually so healthy in the long run because it opened my eyes to see, and then helps me to now immediately escape when there is a new hot steaming fuckery. I wish the same for you. I will get out of any trap that people are always trying to lock you down when you're an earth angel, because you're a delicious morsel to connect or catch. You have so much that you give even when you are getting very little. You are like a cactus, unfortunately, and people just wring you out for resources. And so they see that you are powerful, that you have a Midas touch, your money, your energy. When I say money, you are money. Like when you connect with people, their money goes up. Their ideas, their creativity, their stamina, their sexual life, whatever. I have been connected to people that have just been platonic, and I'm watching their marriage get better if they're siphoning from me in the right way, okay? So you need to never underestimate the value that you bring to these connections, or why a karmic partner will, you're like, well, I don't understand. They don't want to let me go. The song that I associated with the karmic that was a sociopathic liar was one by a creator here, and it says, you lied about me to all your friends, said that I was essentially obsessed when you would call me in the middle of the night. You kept me close with a maybe when you really meant no because you wanted me close. Unhinged. Your love isn't anything that you think it is. And I thought it was just such brilliant. My angels gave me that song when I was really disembarking properly. That came out and I just heard it, and my angels were like, this is how she was playing with your head. She did not really XYZ, or she wasn't interested, she didn't like you or whatever, but being close to you was feeding her fucking evil ass ego. We all have one. I know. I've definitely slayed mine a time or 5. But it was feeding her ego, and you were keeping her alive, and off your energy she began to thrive. She was like the Lyme disease of your life, bitch. Get her away from you. Sometimes getting the tick off you isn't enough. The after effects will linger. So anyway, someone needed to hear that. You guys need to know, examine it from those ways. Why did it hook you? Who first told you to let it go, and how many times? Because it's always at least 3, I promise you, even if it's your own spirit in a dream. And then when did you take the exit ramp and start listening to your spirit team? And how did it in the future help you to avoid future snares when others were trying to get you, even if they had the most dreamy stares, girl? Y'all just pray for your good sis. Send me some energy, because I escaped another one. I dodged another bullet recently. I said, oh God, I want to thank you. I want to thank you. So set yourself free. The karmics will never stop coming. You're delicious, queen. You're delicious. It doesn't matter what you look like. What do they say, short or flat, skinny or black, light skin or black? You will draw in, because your energy is more than a snack. It's a meal. It's sustenance. It's Thanksgiving, babe. Okay? And people will want to be next to you. So you got to play your cards right, because them getting next to you will eventually drain you. And listen to your angels, because they always are giving you that good sister nuggie. And they're saying, girl, this is the worst person you ever met, and you wanted to travel the world with them? And I said, bet. Oh my God. And my angel said, next time, vet. Vet better, vet longer, leave faster. So that you don't have to learn how to become stronger. Because when you go through those karmic cycles, even if they suck, you will get something good out of it, which is that you learn how to bench press so much. And I mean, do you just want to be Arnold Schwarzenegger? Do you want to be the Hulk? I don't. I want to be self-defense. I don't want to be fighting a spiritual warfare and figuring out how to stop letting these demons in that want access to me because I'm sparkly or whatever they think with their hating asses. Because usually they don't really like you. And you knew that immediately. When Aubrey is saying, to wrap this completely, this is the worst person I ever met, I want to travel the world with her, she so beautifully articulates the conundrum of attraction and repulsion at the same time. You know with your lizard brain that someone's not right. I remember looking into the eyes of several of these karmics and watching them lie to me and do their bullshit duplicity and being like, bitch, you know I can see you, right? But I still said, apple bottom, want to take a bite? Like, I still said, I just want to have a good night. I wanted to live whatever crazy ass fantasy. I'm a Leo. Of course I wanted to live a fucking fairy tale. And these bitches said, I can tell you a fucking fairy tale. You want a fairy tale? Happily ever after. Never, never. This is going to be a fucking Nightmare on Elm Street. But in the beginning, once upon a time, they once upon a timed me. And I allowed it to happen because that's my energy. What's yours? What's your Achilles heel? What's your kryptonite? What's your thing that makes you want to take a bite? And when you take a look at that, you will never find yourself in another karmic fight. If you tell the truth about the underbelly and the beginning and the chemistry, then you won't ever have to get to the lesson and the bench pressing and the exit ramp strategy. That part. So good sharing energy with you. For those of you that are new here, I'm a professional intuitive empathy. I am empathy. I'm a professional intuitive empath. Thank you for inviting me in. I don't know if I said it in the beginning. I was so excited about this message. Thank you for inviting me in. Thank you for listening. This is for you. If this is work you have to do, pay attention to who and what you're attracted to, but more importantly, why did it hook you? What was the thing? Were you listening? Did your angels tell you, hell no, you need to go? Did you, a friend? Did you hide it because you already knew? Oh, that's the good one, sis. When you're like, I don't even want anybody to see this shit. It's so dirty. I don't even want anybody to fucking know. But if it made you feel a way, then there's a lesson to learn. And I don't want you to judge yourself. I just want you to look over it, pick through it a little bit, and tell yourself the truth so that you can be free of it, but more importantly, so that you can be free of future its and evil ones and imps and demons and entities that will want to attach to you. And the only pathway that they will have is a karmic partner that you're attracted to. Come back and join me next time, guys. We'll continue to evolve together.